Okay, we are recording. Georgie, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Where are you today?
I'm at home, which is nice actually, because we've been so busy. So we go to Portugal on Wednesday. So it's we've been back and forth quite a bit. So it's quite nice to actually have a day of resetting. Um,
Lovely, lovely. Um, okay, well look, let's kick off your playlist, and I'm going to ask you first, please, to tell me the song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro, please.
I think the best intro is War Pigs by Black Sabbath, which obviously pay our love and respect to Ozzy Osbourne. But yeah, it's just so cinematic and psychedelic, and then it's kind of turns into this epic masterpiece with that really simple guitar riff and Ozzy's voice. So yeah, that I think is the greatest. I mean, there's many, but yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this because you said psychedelic and obviously lots of Sabbath stuff is quite expansive and long. And which was very much part of the course when it come out, and obviously people adore Sabbath and Ozzy, but I'm generalising here, Georgie, when I say kind of generations that are coming through now that are discovering, a love of music are probably experiencing a shorter attention span maybe to what music fans did back when Sabbath dropped War Pigs.
Mhm.
The fact that now people are consuming their music through sites and even TikTok and things like that, and that all moves so quick, and attention spans do get appear to be getting tighter. Does
Mhm.
any of that find its way into your creative process?
I mean, you try not like look into it too much, but obviously because when you write a song, you just want to write it from the heart, and I'm sure that's what bands like Black Sabbath did and Queen, for instance. But now obviously it's kind of weird because it's kind of felt like it's gone back to how it was in the 50s, where it's like 3 minute, the songs in the 50s. I mean, even punk really, like the Ramones and stuff and Sex Pistols was 3 minute songs. And I think we have kind of gone back to that where it's like you're not allowed to do an intro for longer than 10 seconds, which I think definitely comes into play a bit when I'm writing songs anyway. Thinking about the audience that will consume our music. And then luckily we kind of throw that out the window when we play live. And that's where we get to do this stuff with the intros because as a band we love all that, the rock stuff, which had no boundaries with that. But I think it definitely does play a part in influencing the creative process.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to ask you now to tell me, please, the first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
This has to be because I remember the moment so well because I wasn't a massive music fan when I was very little. I was like a football fan and then became obsessed with Elvis. And I remember hearing it in the ghetto. And that was the first thing I ever heard that made me like, wow, I didn't know music could do that and tell that story. And I was only about, I think about 10 or 11, and it had a real impact on me. So that was the first time that I kind of felt really emotional about a song and what music has the capability of doing as well. Kind of changed my perspective a little bit.
What was the emotion?
I was kind of distraught actually. I remember being really sad, like genuinely to the core of my heart, like listening to the song and the lyrics. And I know Elvis didn't write the song, but he delivers it in such a way. And it's that last line on a cold and grey Chicago morning, another little baby child is born. And it's like it's just so sad. You listen to the story of his life in the ghetto and his mom, and then it concludes to the fact that he dies and another baby child is born, and it's a cycle. And I think that just had a profound impact on me when I was little. Um, it was very much the story of the song, I think.
It doesn't sound like any other Elvis song either, that track.
No,
Right.
totally. Yeah,
Um, yeah, have you ever heard Nick Cave's version of that?
I haven't actually, and I'm a big Nick Cave fan, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah, he
check that
does
out after this. I
glorious
think
cover of In the
probably.
Ghetto.
I bet because his Nick Cave's voice is just made for storytelling, especially that
Absolutely.
song. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, okay, so let's stay in the formative years for track three, and I'm going to ask you to tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, please.
So this was quite a funny one to pick because when I was at secondary school, I'd kind of come out my Elvis phase, but I wasn't listening to what the other kids at school were listening to, like the Jonas Brothers and stuff. I listened to punk and rock, and I used to have a little MP3, and I had Blitzkrieg Bop on there by the Ramones. So that's the one I've gone for. I also put down the Primitives Crash as well because it just has that kind of rebellious energy, which I think I was feeling at that time.
Yeah.
I used to sit on the back of the bus and put that on the Ramones and stuff, and just be like, "Yeah, fuck this." Yeah, so
That's
that.
pretty that's pretty unique for, a kid to be listening to Elvis, when, like you say, most of the other kids are listening to the Jonas Brothers and then going, right, Ramones. Because it's not the most exciting. I mean, I know they're short, essentially pop punk,
Mhm.
sound bites, but it's still quite left field for, a young kid to be checking that out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's like where I grew up as well in Mansfield. And obviously, like being queer and not being able to come out in Mansfield, I think I had a lot of rebellion in me. So I think music became a part of that as well. It was like the thing that I didn't have to hide, unlike myself and sexuality and stuff. And I could rebel with music. And I think so. I think a bit of it was that. I was like, what is the like loudest, most different thing I can listen to that no one around me is listening to? And I think the Ramones just became that band.
Was
I
you
think I
search
got film.
was you actively searching for like queer artists as well that, maybe might sort of offer you something you could sort of, connect with maybe differently to the Jonas Brothers?
Yeah, 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 definitely. And I think it not even just queer, but anything that was rebelling against the social norm. So even like funk music, and I became a massive blues fan when I was at school too, like Robert Johnson and Son House and stuff. So anything that was kind of just rebelling against the system was always kind of what I was searching out for. And I would just go on my computer, the computer we had at home, and just look for lots of different stuff that kind of made me feel like I fitted in, but was so far away from fitting in.
Did you not feel like you fitted in at school?
No, no, for sure. I think a big part of that was probably being queer and growing up in a town like Mansfield,
Is it
which
not a particularly forgiving place?
no, it's very working class, and kind of I think it was the third biggest place in England that voted for Brexit. So it's that kind of place. I look, it's it's always will be my hometown, but it's quite hard to be something that doesn't fit into a box there, is what I would say. So
Yeah.
I think I feel like school's probably easier now for kids as well, I hope. Um, but back then it wasn't that easy. I think people used to use the word gay as a, you know, derogatory term. So.
Yeah. I normally ask guests around about this point if they enjoyed school, but I guess you kind of answered that there.
It's funny because I did enjoy it. Like I was very much one of them kids that did my own thing. Like I didn't have any enemies. I didn't massively have any close friends either. I was just like just lurching around with my guitar on my back the whole time. And that's kind of what I remember of it. It's kind of a funny time. I think being a teenager is a funny time, isn't it? Trying to self-explain what's going on is really hard.
Tell me, outside of school, tell me a little bit about home. Was it a musical environment? I mean, you just mentioned there playing the guitar, at a young age. Was home musical?
Yeah, it was. It was my dad played guitar. He was in some like bands in the 80s and stuff. But he kind of it wasn't really him that introduced me to music. It was like more my mom. My uncle introduced me to Elvis. He played me an Elvis song when I was little. And that changed everything. And then my mom had music on all the time. So from like stuff like the Carpenters and Fleetwood Mac to Al Green to Blondie, there was always music playing. So I think it definitely had an impact. And then I had a sister who kind of grew up in the 90s. So she was a massive Oasis fan. She was at Nebworth and, like into Cooler Shake and rave music. So it kind of like her music kind of rubbed off as well. And I would love talking. She introduced me to the Cranberries as well, which was like a defining band for me. So I think, yeah, the whole family's real big music fans for sure.
In them sort of formative years at school, did you know what you wanted to be?
Yeah, I think from the moment I picked up a guitar, I was like, this is what I want to do. And there's no other plan B, backup. It was, and there still isn't. And, it's an industry where you're constantly walking a tightrope, but I know whatever I'll be doing music. And I felt like
Ex
that at school.
Explain a little bit about what you mean by you're walking a tightrope in the industry.
Well, I mean, you feel like it could fall apart at any minute. It's a fickle industry, and it's it has its ups and its downs, I guess. But I think that's why the reason you have to be in the industry has to be the right ones, which is the love of music. Because it doesn't matter if you're famous or anything like that, as long as you're writing songs and playing music and being true to yourself. I think that's what's important about being a musician, which is something that's always been really integral to me since I was at school. I picked up the guitar and it's like I could finally speak. So it was
Yeah.
a nice feeling.
And did it feel coming from where you was coming from that people from there could make it in music? Did that seem, and if so, who were the people that were kind of aspirational there, if at all?
I don't think there was anyone. I know there was Shawadi Wadi came from Mansfield, and they did a lot of the motorbike festivals around
Mm.
Mansfield. And my mum had a Harley, so I kind of knew about them through that. And then there's Jake Bugg came through, obviously, which was the first kind of like sign that you could get out of Nottinghamshire with music. But it was before Jake, to be honest, like it was quite dismal. It was like it felt like a big dream, like a pipe dream to escape Mansfield with music. Um, but I always thought it was probably worth a try.
Was that sort of music and creativity encouraged at your school?
Not really. My school was a sports school. So the music department was like falling to pieces. We had like one little upright piano. That was always out of tune, and no one kind of took it seriously. Um, Music, which was really annoying because I would really want to go to music lessons and like learn something, but I never did. It would have to be done on your lunch break, and but there was a teacher there who was Mr. Gillett, I think his name was, who he was encouraging, but it wasn't as a whole. The school didn't really do much about creativity.
Yeah. Georgie, I'm going to ask you to tell me the first song you ever bought from a record shop, please.
So Carol King Tapestry. I know it's not a song. That was
Who
the first.
cares? It's an opportunity to talk about Carol King. Let's do
I
it.
don't know. I'll take any opportunity to talk about Carol King. Yeah, I remember going in with my mum when I first got my first record player, just as I was really getting into music, and she bought me Carol King Tapestry, and that was my first record, and I've still got it, and it's got a little note written in it from my mum, and it's the best record ever made, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah, you're not going to get any argument from me there.
Yeah.
I had years ago. years ago. It's a weird story. I don't. No one's ever chosen. I've done over 600 shows now, and no one's ever chose Carole King. So I've been
Wow.
waiting to tell this story for so long.
I was scared it'd be a composer.
There was a guy that was in a rap band in the sort of early 90s that had quite a few hits, and he ended up doing some bits with a band that I was in the sort of mid 90s. I was chatting away to him one day, and and I said, "Like, what was it like, being a UK artist making like, rap music in the early 90s?" He said, "Yeah, it was quite strange. The label took us out to America and they wanted to try and break us out there." And I said, "Oh, it'd be quite unique for a UK rap artist." And he said, like, "Yeah, and we sort of, this guy that was assigned to look after us, sort of met us at the airport, took us out and was sort of like whining and dining us. And we finished the meal and finished some drinks. Said, "Oh, like, do you want to come back to my house? And you can hang out at my house." And we're going like, play some demos and stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, cool." And she just walked in this house and there was just these platinum discs everywhere. And he was just like, "Is this guy like signed like loads of acts or something? Like, what's the deal?" And they were like, "What's the deal with all of these discs?" And he went, "Oh, they're my mum's." And it's like, "Who's your mum?" And he went, "Oh, Carole King." And they were like, "Fuck, we're in Carole King's
No.
house."
Wow, no way.
They were like, it was the first time we'd ever
Wow.
been to America, the first time American label had any interest in us, and then the first night, irrelevant of all the stuff that might happen for our career, we was like, "Holy shit, we're in Carole King's house."
I bet that was a wild feel, a moment, because there's certain people, isn't there, in music where you're like, and you can't put your finger on that apart from their genius. And
Yeah,
Carole King is one of them. I bet that was wild.
yeah,
Wow. That's a
absolutely.
great story. I love that story. And obviously, there must have been thousands of gold discs because, she wrote so many songs, didn't she? Like,
Yeah,
not even just for herself, but, her,
absolutely.
her writing days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you still like if you're out and about on tour and you're in a new town and you see a little indie record store, do you stick your head in?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is. I still collect records, and it's something that my girlfriend and family members still get me records for Christmas, and it's always at the top of my Christmas list and stuff. So she got me a really nice limited edition Joni Mitchell one this year, and then I had a limited edition Elvis one this year as well. So it was a good Christmas.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and also like say like the indie record shops are really integral and important as well. And the stuff that you can find in there that you wouldn't perhaps have come across on something like Spotify because the algorithms are a bit messed up. So they're quite
Yeah,
special places,
absolutely.
aren't they? Yeah.
All right, let's go clubbing. Tell me the song that soundtracked your years in Clubland. I mean, you're still young. I'm presuming you're still clubbing when you get the chance.
Yeah, now and then. Now and then. It depends how tired I am. But I had a moment when I first kind of like put Girlband together. When I called Jada and Katie up to start a band out. I was in like a specific year of partying, and I had a housemate. And that house was just a party house, and we used to put Peggy Goo on Starry Night. So that's the song I've gone for, and just anything by Peggy Goo. I think she's a brilliant DJ. But that song always just takes me back to that summer of extensive partying. It was like every night was. It was the year I came out, and my housemate also happened to come out at like a similar time. So it was just in this like euphoric summer of fun. And then obviously girl band happened, and we would rehearse in the front room of my little terrace house. And
Was this
just
still in Mansfield?
this was in Nottingham, incidentally.
Nottingham.
So I moved to Nottingham, shared this little terrace house with a mate. And we rehearsed, and then we would just pump Peggy Goo, and then we'd get ready and go out.
Fantastic. Is Nottingham still a pretty good place to go out and party in?
Yeah, yeah, it is for sure. There's lots of good I mean, we've got a great rough trade here as well, which do some great nights. And it's good if you want to catch live music, which is what kind of me and my friends have always been fans of more than, say, clubbing. But the clubbing scene's good too. You have to kind of like search for the kind of good nights rather than ending up at like the student clubs, which
Yeah.
don't play. Great music.
Did you feel there'd been a shift? Because I'm sure I saw a documentary maybe 3 or 4 years ago about the Nottingham scene, and was there a notable shift after Jake and Sleaford Mods and was 6 by 7 from Nottingham? I'm sure they were. There was a big band called 6 by 7 in the kind of late '90s that were ridiculously good. Um, but I guess more so that kind of explosion of because Jake did blow up huge when he first broke through, and obviously Sleaford Mods took about 40 years to get there, but now they're there,
Yeah, that
and
was it.
yeah. So like, did you
Yeah.
feel there was a change?
Yeah, I think yeah, there definitely was. I think like that what you was talking about earlier about the hope thing, I think there became like a sense of like, oh, actually I can start a band and something can become of it. And people suddenly people in the industry had eyes on Nottingham, which was not the case before. And then that helped stuff like music venues. We've got some great grassroots music venues here and areas for creativity. And then we've got like DHP, who obviously have Rock City and Rescue Rooms and Bodega, where loads of bands kind of play their first gigs. And Sleaford Mods actually came back and did a special gig at the Bodega, which you can imagine was like, I think Bodega's like 180 cap. So it's like, yeah, super special. So I think those kind of bands and moments definitely help shift the scene to something a bit more electric. And obviously now you've got bands like Divorce coming out of here, and there's Kukumaras, there's some good stuff, there's some really good stuff that's doing well, and it's nice to see. So I think that's just Nottingham has just come together and helped progress that scene.
Well, look, with that in mind, Georgie, it's fitting that the next question is going to be me asking you to tell me a favourite song from an artist from your home county.
Yeah, I've had to go. I've had to go with Jake Bug here. So I've had to go with Jake Bug Two Fingers because that is the song that makes you put your two fingers up and think that you can get out of it and you can get away. And if you've got a dream, no matter how big that song makes it feel all possible. No matter what your background is and where you come from, and if the place you come from isn't you know, the nicest place. So I think that song just feels like the perfect Nottingham song. And obviously Jake Book has done so much in that first album is an incredible album, such good songwriting. So yeah, I've had to go with Jake Book there.
Fantastic. Your last track, Georgie, is your opportunity to be a bit of a tastemaker to the listeners of this show, and I'm going to ask you to tell me a song that you think many people may not know that you would like them to hear, please.
This one is Little Feat Long Distance Love, which is always my song that I recommend to people at about 3 o'clock in the morning when I've had a couple of drinks and stuff. And even when I'm sober, this is a beautiful song. And I'm sure many people probably know Little Feat, but not many people know the song, which is wild because it's just beautiful. His voice is amazing in it. And again, it's just like top class songwriting, and everyone needs to hear it.
Okay, well, we'll make it nice and easy for people to do that, mate, because we put together a little Spotify playlist to accompany the podcast so people can go and listen to all of the tracks that we've spoken about today, and obviously your band as well. And we've been talking so much about other music, we're yet to talk about yours. So bring the listeners and myself up to date on everything that's happening.
Yeah, we've been very busy this summer. We've been all over Europe playing festivals. We've just released a new song called Thelma and Louise, which is funny because I know Panic Shack did as well. We did a festival with them the other day, and us and Panic Shack were having a laugh about it. Um, so yeah, we've got a new single. We've got more music coming out. We're going to Portugal next week, and probably going on tour in October. So things are going very good, and we're very busy. So it's nice.
Fantastic. And if people want to keep up to speed with everything you're doing, where's the best place to do so?
Instagram, so that's Girlband HQ, and we're on TikTok, which is Girlband Headquarters. So they're the kind of things we use the most, and also go listen to our music on whatever streaming platform you may use.
Well, if it's all right with you, Georgie, when we put this out, we'll tag you. in it on the social so people can go and find you. If they're not following you already, we'll make it nice and easy for them to do so. And the links to your music will be in the show notes of this episode. Georgie, thanks so much for giving up your time today. It's been really nice talking records with you.
No, it's been lovely. It's been a pleasure. I could talk about it for 5 hours. So thank you so much for letting me.
Absolute pleasure. I'm going to press stop, but don't go anywhere.